It has taken 29 days, but we finally have our first breaking news stream of the transfer window. Because finally, and I've never been this confident in a deal so far because we haven't done any of these streams, but it looks as though Tottenham are set to sign Juventus duo Dejan Kulusevski and Rodrigo Bentancur. Now, I set this stream about 10 minutes ago after news came out from Gianluca Di Marzio, Alfredo Padula, and Fabrizio Romano. Since that, Matteo Moretto has now come out and said that Tottenham are actually trying to sign Douglas Luiz from Aston Villa. Now, that may throw the Rodrigo Bentancur deal into doubt, and I think that's just the nature of Tottenham's window at the moment, that it's almost impossible to tell what is actually going on. And it's, like I said, within the 10 minutes of setting the stream and actually starting the stream, things may have changed again. But look, I think the first thing we can say is that Tottenham are going to sign Dejan Kulusevski. And I'm more sure of that than I was of Adama Traore, than I was of any other player as well. Gianluca Di Marzio has said Kulusevski and Bentancur are one step away from becoming Tottenham players. He also says the last details are to be completed, then Bentancur and Kulusevski will both be Tottenham players. So Di Marzio extremely confident that this is one Tottenham can get over the line. And I said it in my stream earlier, if there was any... if there's a different window with the news we were hearing throughout the day, if we hadn't gone through what we've been through with Adama Traore and then Luis Diaz, I would have been confident that we'd get those deals done. But because of what's happened in this window, I just wanted to leave it go a little bit longer and try to get as much confirmation as we could and as good a sign really as we can get without the official announcement. And I feel like we've gotten that now with the news that's come out tonight. And the reports that we're seeing are a little bit different. Di Marzio said it's one step away. Other reports not really going as far as that. Now we do have to take into consideration the relationship that Di Marzio has with Antonio Conte. He visited the training ground not too long ago, earlier on in the season when Conte came in to visit Antonio in his new job. But all these stories came out within 5-10 minutes of each other, which I think says very clearly that something happened in the last 20, 30, 40 minutes within this deal to put that confidence in the Italian media that this deal is going to happen. On Dejan Kulusevski, I see Alexander there saying, is it a loan or a permanent for both or just Kulusevski? So, Vasil, thank you very much for becoming a channel member. Really do appreciate that. So for Dejan Kulusevski, what Fabrizio Romano has said in the last 10 or 20 minutes, Tottenham are in advanced talks over a deal for Dejan Kulusevski. The deal will be a loan with an option to buy, which will become mandatory if certain conditions are reached. Juventus want a €40 million clause. So it seems, as we mentioned earlier in the stream, that the difference between Tottenham and Juve right now is, well, it was initially whether it was going to be an option or an obligation to buy. Tottenham wanted option, Juve wanted obligation, and there seems to have been a nice middle ground. Has been found there. Juventus want €40 million clause, and if I'm correct, what Romano said earlier was Tottenham would offer 30. So there does seem to be a bit of a discrepancy there in how much they're going to pay, but a big part of that deal struck in Tottenham and Juve agreeing on what would happen at the end of the loan. Now, Di Marzio's given us a bit more detail on what that clause is at the end of that loan deal. He has said the Kulusevski deal to Tottenham will be a loan plus an obligation, conditional on parameters such as qualification to the Champions League and a fixed number of appearances. So like I mentioned earlier, the loan deal that saw Pierluigi Gallini join Tottenham from Atalanta in the summer was a loan with an option to buy to become an obligation if he made, I think it was 20 appearances for Tottenham this season. With Giovanni Lo Celso, when we signed him a couple of years ago, it was an initial loan deal with an option to buy the next summer if Tottenham made it into the Champions League. Now Tottenham opted to trigger that clause in the January, which I think we didn't make Champions League that season, so it probably worked out better for us considering at the time we wanted him. I mean, in hindsight, you can say perhaps we shouldn't have done that, but it is for Kulusevski an option to buy that will become an obligation, conditional on parameters such as qualification to the Champions League and a fixed number of appearances. Alfredo Padula has offers a bit of detail on that, saying Spurs will pay €3 to €4 million at the least for the loan of Kulusevski. On Rodrigo Bentancur, the only real information we have, other than that he's one step away, is that Tottenham's offer for Bentancur is 19 million plus 5 million in variables. Now I see people there telling me to check Spurs Express, which I'm going to do immediately. So Di Marzio has now said that Rodrigo Bentancur is determined to reject Aston Villa's advances and complete a move to Tottenham. So both these players want this to be done. As I mentioned, news flying in this evening. Matteo Moretto has also said that Tottenham are planning to move for Douglas Luiz. Are we going to get both of them? I personally don't see it happening. I tweeted out earlier today, and I've kept the same mindset about this window the whole way through, that I'm confident, very confident, that Tottenham will make at least 2 signings. Those signings now appear to be Kulusevski and Bentancur. The question remains, can we add to that? And I know the majority of Tottenham fans will tell you it's not going to happen. Some will even tell you we're not going to make those 2 signings. But it's looking very likely that will happen. So what we're going to do, we're going to look at Kulusevski, we're going to look at Bentancur, we're going to look at why they're good players for Tottenham. And we're going to start with the Swedish winger, because some of you may remember I had Alex the Euro expert on here 2-3 months ago at this stage, and we did speak about Kulusevski. And around the turn of the year, rumours started to kind of blow up a little bit about if Kulusevski could become a Tottenham player, and I tweeted a thread explaining why he is perfect for Tottenham. And I started to say the main question around the signing of Kulusevski is if he fits into Tottenham's team, and the answer for me is an astounding yes. He's a very skillful left-footed Mezzala who plays on the right for Juventus with 3 assists in 16 appearances at the time. So Mezzala is essentially, like I said earlier, it's an inverted winger. So he plays on the right-hand side as a winger, but that's only really on paper. It's kind of similar to what Salah does for Liverpool in that he plays a lot more centrally. Now Salah, I'd say, is more of a striker, whereas Kulusevski, when he comes inside, would be more of an attacking midfielder, which he can play as well, and he can play up top as well, because he has done that for Juventus in the past. But he fits that perfectly, because in that 4-3-4-3 that we play, it's wingers, it's Son and Lucas that are in that. They're on paper, they're wingers, but they play really narrow to create that space outside for the wing backs, whether it's Reguilon or Sessegnon or Emerson or Doherty, whoever it is. Those wingers come really narrow. Kulusevski has experience doing that and can do that, and he can also play in that striker position if we want to play a 3-5-2, because he has the experience as that inverted winger playing there, but he's also actually played as a striker in the past as well. He started his career with Atalanta, making 3 Serie A appearances under Giampieri Gasparini in 2019. He went out on loan to Parma, which proved very fruitful. He scored his first 4 goals in the Serie A for 17 games at Parma. That form alone earned him a €35 million move to Juventus. Now, after he signed for them, it was in January of 2020, so 24 months ago, he was loaned back to Parma, where he scored another 6 goals. So his first full season in the Serie A, he scored 10 goals, which is a very, very good return. He's since gone on to make 51 appearances for the 36th-time Italian champions, notching up 4 league goals. Again, that may have changed slightly since I did this thread. His overall Serie A record is 14 goals and 15 assists in 90 games. I said he is the perfect style of player to rotate with Lucas Moura in Tottenham's front line. He loves to occupy the Mezzala or half-winger position that thrives within this Conte setup. He can come narrow to create numerical overloads in central areas while creating space for that right wing back to bomb forward and control the game from the stretched wide areas. And he has that kind of passing knack, that eye for pass, that creativity that will allow us to break down these low blocks that we've really consistently struggled to break down in really since Prime Pochettino. It's been a long time since we've been comfortable against teams like that, and since we've been fully able to break down teams like that. And he will bring in that flair. He will bring in that something a little bit different to help us there. Tyler says, does he have end product? Like I said, 14 goals and 15 assists in his first 90 Serie A appearances. It's a very good return for a player who's only 21 years of age. And I was talking to Josh King about 20 minutes ago, who you might know from We Are Tottenham TV. And I think he's unfairly judged because he plays with Juventus and he's an established international footballer. Which, fair enough, you judge him to a higher standard than you would a 21-year-old like Jack Clark, for example, who's still playing in an academy or who's being loaned out and stuff like that. But you can't really judge him at the same level that you judge established first team players, whatever age they are, whatever experience they are. He's not really that yet at just 21. And I think we need to cut him a bit more slack and realise that no matter how much you pay for him, the fact that he has a lot of improvement to do doesn't mean he's a bad signing. It means we've something to work with, and we've something very, very good to work with. Neil, thank you very much for becoming a channel member. I appreciate it. He's also versatile. However, previously playing as a more traditional central attacking midfielder, a box-to-box midfielder, a more traditional winger, and a makeshift centre forward. So has a lot of ability to play in different positions. He loves to create headaches by slipping into half spaces between the defensive and midfield lines. When he gets in the ball, he can utilise his incredible pace, vision, dribbling, and shooting abilities. But outside of ability, what else makes him a Conte player? When he was playing with Parma, he played under Roberto D'Aversa, who was the manager there, and D'Aversa said of him, he is always among the players who cover the most distance in every game, and he has the right mentality. And look, the one stat we all know about Conte's Tottenham is that we cover the most ground in the Premier League. Considering under Nuno, we covered the least ground in the league. It's a massive turnaround. Excuse me. It's a massive turnaround, and it's one that Kulusevski will fit into. Paratici as well knows him very well. He orchestrated the move to bring him to Turin 24 months ago. And in terms of this season's stats, so at the time it was 3 assists and 16 appearances. It's important to remember how much Juve are struggling this season. They're barely getting into the top 4. The 3 assists that he had amounts to 11% goal involvement, having only played 38% of minutes. So fairly important for when he's on the pitch. He did provide quite a bit for Juventus, and he's, again, I'll always say this about players who are coming in from foreign leagues, especially this area, and I said it about Dusan Vlahovic, because for 70 million I didn't want to go anywhere near him at all. It's going to take some time to adapt, and it's not absolutely destined to work, but it's a very, very good risk to take. He's a very talented player who has heaps of ability, and even if he doesn't work out extremely well and doesn't become a world beater for Spurs, he will bring something to this team. He will add something to this team, and I'm really excited to see what it is. Because like I said, from the 31st of December, even probably before that, I want Kulusevski at Tottenham, and this is a very, very good deal. Martin says, do you think the fact that Juve are asking for an obligation to buy for such a young player is worrying? I know Zlatan rates him, but it's something to think about. Yes and no. Yes, because if they're willing to part ways with him so easily and only after 2 years at the club, maybe they know something. Well, maybe they know something bad that we don't, I suppose, the best way to say that. But no, because it's not exactly a negative thing to not be at the level that Juve want their players to be. I mean, considering he's competing directly for that place on the right-hand side of Federico Chiesa, the fact that he's not as good as Chiesa, I mean, it's not that's not a criticism. That's not an insult. I did say earlier that with Chiesa out injured for the season, the fact that they still want to let him go, maybe there's a bit of concern there. But I don't think the fact that they're putting in that that option to buy is particularly a negative thing, to be honest. So we're going to take a bit of a look at Kulusevski's stats for this season, kind of a bit more in depth with various things, because we can look at goals, we can look at assists, but we need to dive a little bit more into that, and we need to break it down, because he hasn't played that much, break it down into a bit more detail. And the first thing I see here is expected assists. He's 0.26 per 90 minutes, which is in the 85th percentile in English football. So the reason that I like breaking down stats like this, and fbref.com is a brilliant site that essentially does it for you, is because you can look at him and say, I don't know how many minutes he's played, but just let's imagine for a second it works out as 3 expected assists for the season. That would be a lot lower than a lot of players, but considering he's averaging less than half minutes for Juventus, the fact that you can break it down per 90 gives you a much better insight. It gives you a rank. So the percentile is the top 5 leagues in Europe and European competition over the last 365 days. In that time, Kulusevski's played 2,033 minutes. 85th percentile for expected assists. Mr. K, great to see you in the live chat, my friend. For touches in the penalty area, he's in the 96th percentile. He gets forward, he gets involved. Progressive passes, which we really, really need in our team, 8.15 per 90, which is in the 85th percentile. And if we want to implement a high press at Spurs, if that's where we want to go, he averages 23.55 pressures per 90, which is the 97th percentile. He's in the top 3% in European football for that attribute in pressures. They compare him here to 10 players. No one have really know. I mean, Angel Correa is the closest player to him, apparently, who I'm pretty sure Tottenham were looking at over the summer. But Kulusevski, just such an exciting player, and it's one that really looks like we're going to get over the line. Obviously, we're still going to have those kind of nerves that it's not going to happen, but I'm fairly confident this is one that Tottenham can and will get done. Let me know your thoughts in the live chat. If you know Kulusevski, if you don't, your concerns, you're excited for, all that good stuff. Mehdi says, I'm sorry, but we are helping Juventus get rid of their garbage. Look, I said this earlier. I do think there's a concern with the fact that there's 2 days to go in the window and Paratici is going back to Juventus, because it's something that suits Juventus and suits Paratici, whether or not they're good signings. from Juventus' point of view, they want to bring in Dennis Zakaria from Borussia Mönchengladbach. They want to get rid of a player, whether it's to finance that or to make room in the team, and that player seems to be Rodrigo Bentancur, who for a while looks set to be joining Aston Villa, really. And for Kulusevski, he's not in Allegri's plans. They want to get rid of him. Great for Juve. They're getting rid of these two players. For Paratici, well, it's been very well covered what's happened Tottenham in this transfer window, and there are a couple of men who are getting the majority of the criticism, and Levy is getting the most, but Paratici is second on that list, and he needs a victory. He needs a win. He needs something good to happen, and for him, getting Kulusevski and Bentancur is very good for him in the short term, whether or not it works out. And with this big summer that we're planning at Tottenham, that we're hoping to get these huge, we're going to be the biggest players in the market and all this crap. If we get to the summer and Kulusevski and Bentancur are, let's say they flop up until that point, and people are getting annoyed at Paratici, then we have that huge summer, and all of a sudden people forget about it. If they're decent, it's good for Spurs. Huge summer, people forget about it. This could be something to tide us over. This could be, it could just be signings for the sake of signings, but I don't think it is. I really don't think it is. These are players that I am excited about, and players that I really, really want to see in a Spurs jersey, and it looks like we will. For Rodrigo Bentancur, do you know what? I'm more excited now. Just even opening this page, and for FBref, if you haven't seen it, the percentiles that kind of rank them, red is the worst and green is the best. You can just see that there. If that'll focus. Green, 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 absolutely everywhere. For assists, per 90 is in the 81st percentile, which for a centre midfielder is really important. And it's kind of what we're asking for from our midfielders going forward, because Højbjerg and Skip just aren't good enough at progressing the football. Winks does offer it to us, but not consistently enough. And Rodrigo Bentancur offers that bit of balance, because he can be the defensive player that Højbjerg and Skip are, but he can also be a ball progressor, and he can also move Tottenham up the pitch and create chances and stuff like that. 78th percentile for shot creating actions, 75th to 79th for passes attempted, pass completion, progressive passes. So he's good with his passes. He doesn't. He moves the ball forward and he keeps possession, which is a really tough balance to find. Pressures as well is in the 87th percentile. He's really good defensively. 2.9 tackles per 90, 2.41 interceptions, 1.87 blocks. This bodes really, really well. Dara with the €2 super chat, thanks a million for that, Dara. It says, these guys improve our team, it's a good thing. And it really is. It really is an extremely good thing. Because it looked for a while that we just weren't going to get that this window. But we're closing in on it, and look, similar players to Rodrigo Bentancur. The first name on the list is Sergio Busquets. And I'm not ever going to claim that Bentancur is as good as Busquets, or will ever be as good as Busquets, but that style of player is really important, and that seems to be what we're getting with the centre midfielder. And look, speaking of all the green, these are so many wires here. These are just for the passes. Those are just his passing stats. Green absolutely everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. I'm getting excited. I'm getting excited, and this window was close to getting me, close to making me lose my mind. But I'm losing my mind for the right reasons right now. Defensively, he's also ranking 70th, 80th, 90th percentile for so many stats, except for errors, which he's down in the 26th percentile, which is good. Yeah, this is exciting. This is very exciting. TSC says Bentancur and Winks as a sub for the mid seem solid. Yeah, I mean, Winks as a sub isn't exactly a bad option. I don't think he'd be too happy to fill that role, but if that's what we have for the next 6 months, I'll be very happy with that. I was trying to see if there's any more updates here on Twitter. George Bannister said Spurs pushing close for Kulusevski and Bentancur and will be good additions on the whole. So he's saying the same. We are pushing close there. Again, Demarzio saying Bentancur is determined to reject Aston Villa's advances. Axis Matt just smiled for the first time this month. Do you know what? I mean, look, I've been positive. Like I've been saying, I've been wanting to wait until the window closed to judge the window, and it's because I knew something like this was going to happen. You don't go through a window like this with Paratici trying to please Conte and something doesn't happen. Even if it wasn't the two of them, it's the simple fact that we need to bring in players if we want to get anywhere this season. If we want that big summer, big window in the summer, we need Champions League football. And if we want Champions League football, we need to make signings. And And it looks as though we are doing that. Billy says, if everyone wants positivity, give Matt all their support. A lot of negativity going around on other channels. Look, people aren't exactly wrong to be negative. I don't agree with it, because I don't personally see the point in being consistently negative and consistently expecting the worst, because what's the point in the supporting team if it's just going to make you, if it's just going to ruin your day and make you sad? You might as well see the good side of things. You might as well look at the positives. And I, again, may have been a bit overly optimistic, but if it results in me being right, you can be damn sure I'm going to milk that. Like I tweeted out earlier, I just want the record to show that this whole way through the window, I've never given up faith that we would make signings this window. Kevin Orr, who might be in the live chat here, TFSC Contatici on Twitter, put out a thing a while ago just saying Kulusevski, he's young, he's creative and can break down low blocks, he's versatile. Rodrigo Bentancur, young, ball retention, ball progression, defensive ball winning, both fill positions of need to help now and in the future. Hashtag trust the Parachi. Absolutely spot on, as Kevin always is. If you don't follow him on Twitter, why? Follow him. And the mood on Twitter, to be honest, at the moment it's not like it would have been if this had happened a week ago or 2 weeks ago, or if without Diaz and Adam. The kind of concerns are still there, and I can't think of the word, but people are just being careful not to get too excited about this just yet. But not me. Of course, I'm gonna go full in. I'm gonna lose my mind and get as excited as I possibly can. There's a tweet here from, I think it's an unreliable source, saying it's a done deal with Juventus for 40 million. I'm not quite sure. I think that's jumping the gun just a little bit. Got Jay there with the $5 super chat. Thanks a million for that, Jay. He says Bentancur would be a great addition, especially creatively. Højbjerg and Skip are not that great at creating chances, and absolutely, that is what we're missing in the midfield. And I said it from before Antonio Conte came in, and I think this is a tweet here from Il Terreno, who are an Italian outlet. I can't really see exactly where they're from, but they say Kulusevski and Bentancur, players of Tottenham Hotspur. So they're suggesting that deal is done. Maybe suggesting that contract is signed. I know La Repubblica said last night, thanks for bringing my attention to that as well, Leith. La Repubblica said last night that Kulusevski could have been announced last night. They said in the coming hours it could be sorted. Of course it wasn't. I feel like those less reliable outlets are going to try and jump the gun and try be the first to say that it's signed, in the hope that it's done very quickly after they do it. I would ignore those until it's someone reliable saying it's done. But yeah, as I was saying there, after completely losing my thread. Oh, with the midfielder, yes. We need that, with Jay's Super Chat, we need that creativity in the midfield, and we need someone who can move that ball forward. And I said from day one that we needed to bring in a number 10 or a playmaker. And there's a comment on one of my streams the other day that said Conte has never really played with a playmaker, with a number 10. Perhaps with the exception of Eriksen at Inter Milan, he's played with midfielders who can do both. He's played with Brozovic at Inter Milan. He had Barella, Sensi, Eriksen, who at times was kind of a bit more defensive as well. I suppose he played with Fabregas, Matic, Kante at Chelsea, with Pogba, Pirlo back at Juventus. They're players who can do the defensive and offensive part of the game, and Bentancur fits into that. Bentancur is that type of player. I saw people asking if Conte wants them. I would be more sure that Conte wants Bentancur than he does Kulusevski, and I'm pretty sure that he wants Kulusevski, because like I said, he fits that wide striker that he likes to play. He fits what Sanchez and Politano were for him at Juventus last season. And I'm just confident they're going to sign him. I'm confident that they're going to be good signings for us. Martin says there, what's the story with Dele and Ndombele? He says story with Dele and Ndombele. The interesting bit with Ndombele is he's been in talks with Lyon for the last couple of hours for a potential loan deal back to the club that ripped Tottenham off 2.5 years ago to sign him. With Dele, there still just isn't any concrete interest, but it is extremely likely that he will leave on loan before the end of the window. Just where he's going to go at the moment still remains a mystery. So much crap coming out in the last couple of hours, like Mirror Football and all that. But yeah, Lyon are in talks at the moment over a potential deal for Ndombele, but Ali, I think, is just waiting for a club to to pick him up, and I feel like it'll be Everton. There was an unreliable report earlier that Lampard wanted him as his first signing. I mean, it makes sense, and maybe that could be why the report did it, because it just is a move that fits, and Everton have already been reported to be interested in the player, so maybe that's where that's coming from. But yeah, Dele Alli will move on as well. Josh says, if you haven't done so, can you break down Bentancur? Thanks for the super chat, Josh. I really appreciate that. I have, but you know what? I'll do it again. I'll do it again just for you, Josh. He's a player that offers a lot to Tottenham and is exactly what we need in the middle of the park. He's really good off the ball. Just go into the stats off the ball, because I know I showed the FB ref, Josh. If you haven't seen it, it's just green. I'm not going to pick it up again, so I'll lose where I am, but it's just green everywhere. He's ranking really, really well. He started out of possession because if he's coming into our midfield, if he's going to replace one of Højbjerg or Skip, he has to have that defensive side of his game, because it's so important for us that the two in there do have that. He's averaging 2.9 tackles per 90, which is in the 83rd percentile. He's in 2 tackles 1 per 90 in the 85th percentile. And his majority tackles come in the middle third at 1.48 in the 87th percentile. So he makes a lot of tackles and he wins a lot of them. Ryan, little big man with the 180, says, "Might go like and sub, boys." Ryan, you're an absolute legend. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Everyone, make sure to subscribe to Little Big Man as well, if you've any interest in Newcastle and their transfer ongoings. And we mentioned, Josh, with Kulusevski, how hard he works off the ball, and I forget the exact numbers, but Bentancur is the same, with 22.78 pressures per 90 in the 87th percentile and 6.79 successful pressures in the 84th percentile, which we're going to need. And I know at the moment we're not exactly playing a very high press with Conte, but I'd be surprised if the long-term goal isn't that. And we're going a good way. If these are our first 2 signings to building a team to do that, well then, we're off to a very good start. And even high press, actually, I've just noticed Bentancur is in the 89th percentile for presses in the attacking third, 91st percentile for interceptions, 84 for shots blocked, 90 for tackles and interceptions. He's really, really good defensively. But then, what we need to add to that defensive ability that we already have in the midfield, we need him to be good on the ball. And his passing is just incredible. Again, I'm just going to show you this real quick, just how green that is in FB ref for all his passing stats. Green, I think there's 2 red stats there. But it's Alexander, it's fbref.com. I'll link it in the chat at the end of the stream. So for progressive passes, I think is the most important thing here, because as we've seen with Harry Winks, you can have a very high pass success rate without actually doing anything with the ball. But passes in the final third, 5.66 per 90, 81st percentile. Progressive passes, 5.12 in the 75th percentile. And his medium length passes seem to be his best, with passes completed, attempted, and completion rate all ranking around 87th, 88th percentile. And look, it's very easy to pick out whatever stats you want and decide from that whether a player is good or not. But if I just show you this, it'll take a second to focus. And if I just scroll, aside from that, which I believe is shooting, which not ideal, but aside from shooting, go the whole way down. There's a lot of green there. There's a lot of green, and that's what we need. We need someone who is, Mehdi says, hope you're not misled by those stats. Look, it's easy to be misled by stats, but it's also the best insight that we're going to have to this player. If and when these deals get done, I'll try and get Giuseppe, who's in the live chat a while ago, Juventus fan. I'll see if he can come on and talk to us a little bit more about these players. But the stats don't lie. They can be twisted, but when they're this positive, I don't think they lie. In terms of progressive ball carries, 83rd percentile for that, with 52.13 per 90. This guy seems an absolute baller. Maybe this is too good to be true. No. Press resistant, passes under pressure, 10.59 per 90 in the 90th percentile. I'm getting excited, and I hope you're getting excited. I just realised there's 750 people here. I'm here rambling about stats at 11:30 on a Saturday night, and there's 750 people watching. Oh, this YouTube is crazy sometimes. Do make sure to hit that subscribe button as well, if you haven't already. Josh says, what about ball retention, passes under pressure? I read your mind. As I said there, passes under pressure, 10.59 per 90 in the 90th percentile. Ball retention. Let's go to possession. See, is that even a stat in this? I wonder. Progressive carries, dispossessed. I'm not sure if there's one particularly for ball retention. but completes 66.7% of dribbles, which is only 56 percentile, not ideal. Pass completion rate, I think we said a second ago, was like something like the 80th percentile. 79th percentile, 87.4% pass completion. So ball retention not the best, but I remember making this point with Dele Alli when after the game against Stoke in the Cup under Jose Mourinho. I remember very clearly where Dele Alli tried a little flick around the corner, Stoke won the ball back, they went and scored, Jose subbed him off and ranted about him in the press conference. And the thing is, with a player who you want to be that progressive player and you want to actually move you up the pitch, they're going to lose possession. They're going to lose possession because you can't expect them to create chances and to move that ball forward every time they get it without giving it away more than the man who just plays it back to the centre backs. And like I said about Ali that time, I'd rather he make 10 passes forward and one of them puts Kane in on goal than 10 backwards and they're all successful. I'd rather he lose the ball that 9 times to create that one chance to score. And hopefully that's what Bentancur can add to our midfield. Now look, I've been going on for half an hour. Come on here with absolutely no script. Found a few stats and just apparently he enjoyed it. But look, it's very positive stuff. Just to reiterate that news, Gianluca Di Marzio said that Tottenham are one step away from signing Dejan Kulusevski and Rodrigo Bentancur. Kulusevski seems to be on an initial loan deal for £3 to £4 million, which will become an obligation to buy based on certain criteria such as making it to the Champions League and a certain number of appearances, at which point Tottenham will pay €40 million to sign Kulusevski. And for Rodrigo Bentancur, it is a €19 million deal with $5 million in add-ons. That is permanent and that is immediate. We're also looking at Douglas Luiz, if you're to believe Matteo Moretto, and there's a lot of outgoings to come. Lascelles close to joining Lyon, Brian Gill close to joining Valencia, and Ndombele now in talks to go to Lyon as well. It's going to be a very, very busy couple of days, and like I always say, this is your number one place on YouTube for Tottenham Hotspur transfer news. We will be live tomorrow, and we will be live on Monday evening, bring you right up to the deadline. I think we're starting at about 7:30. But I was supposed to be working until 6:30. That's not happening now. I don't know when I'll be finished, but we will be starting at the latest 7:30, bringing you right up to the deadline, hopefully with news of a few more signings for Spurs. Everyone, hit that like button if you have enjoyed it. My headset's stuck here. That's awkward. Hit that like button if you have enjoyed this stream. Hit the like button if you're happy with Dejan Kulusevski and Rodrigo Bentancur as Tottenham signings. Subscribe down below so you get the notifications that you need. And as always, come on you Spurs, but mainly, thank you so much for watching.